Through this video, you will learn the key differences between teaching face-to-face and teaching online. Then, you will know how to give effective explanations and instructions. In face-to-face class, teachers are mostly like lecturers. But in online teaching, the teachers are facilitators to create a supportive learning environment. For materials, the face-to-face class mostly use paper textbooks or worksheets. However, for online setting, teachers can use wider range of materials and easily accessible on all devices. In a face-to-face instruction, the teachers lecture probably with a head nod and a smile. When learning in an online course, the teachers teach through webcam with mainly facial expression and timely supplement. Students could from worldwide and have personalized and self-paced learning. For traditional classroom, students are limited by distance and need to follow stable course schedule. It mostly is class-based learning. Given effective explanations and instructions. Let's break down into 3 parts: before, during, and after the class. In order to teach effectively, please check out the student's profile for more details before the class. Don't forget to post a welcome message to help students get started. It's better to do it 5 minutes before the class time. During the class, it mainly has warm-up, lesson instruction, and conclusion. Let's see how you arrange your class time. Please spend about 12% for the warm-up part, 80% for the lesson instruction, and 8% for the conclusion. That is, if it's a 25-minute session, please take about 3 minutes for warm-up, 20 minutes for the lesson instruction, and 2 minutes for the conclusion part. It will be the same idea for a 50-minute session. The purpose of warm-up is to have students get ready before proceeding to the main material and also increase their learning motivation. Delving straight into difficult subject matter won't help them in the least bit. Raise warm-up questions related to the topic of the material. These warm-up questions should be prepared before the class starts. Generally, the questions won't be hard to handle. If the topic is about travel, you might prepare the warm-up questions like, do you like to travel? Build a positive and pleasant atmosphere. Set conversational tone that makes students feel comfortable in the online learning environment. Please don't have the students introduce him or herself. If you want to know more about the student's learning background, you could do it by having a natural conversation. Next, for the lesson instruction, it aims to have students understand what have been taught. Number 1, try to be brief. Learners, in fact, have only a limited attention span. Keep your explanation as brief as possible. Students will understand well if you give clear and comprehensible instructions. Concise definition, synonym, and description tend to be the most popular. 2. Please illustrate with examples. For instance, you may explain a word meaning with examples and various contexts. Also, present the examples relate to the learner's own lives and experiences to help their comprehension. 3. Present information more than once. Repetition. If it's the target words or concept, it's worth repeating over the class. Repetition is a key learning aid because it helps transition a skill from the conscious to the subconscious. Besides, try to use paraphrase to represent the same idea in an easier sentence. 4. Teacher talking time versus student talking time. The ratio between teacher talking time and student talking time should be 50 to 50. And this percentage should progressively change till you achieve 30% for teacher talking time and 70% for student talking time. For highly advanced learners, student talking time should count for 90% and only 10% for teacher talking time. 5. Talking speed. As teachers, you need to have students understand what has been taught instead of frustrating them. Thus, please do slow down your talking speed, especially when you teach beginners. 6. Learning activity and question designs. Teachers need to offer opportunities to have the students express themselves and their opinions in the learning activities. Put your focus on the students. Don't forget to have students practice their communication skills as well. To increase interaction, teachers need to smartly use questioning method, display questions, and referential questions. Display questions. These are designed to elicit learners' prior knowledge and to check comprehension. They often focus on the form or meaning of language structure and items, and the teacher already knows the answer. Examples like, what does mean? When do we use? What comes after? What's the opposite of? Where's the stress in? Referential questions. These require the learner to provide information, give an opinion, explain, or clarify. They often focus on content rather than language, require follow-up or probe questions, and the answer is not necessarily known by the teacher. Related examples are below. What do you think about? Have you ever? When or where? If you had, what? What kind of? How do you? How to have effective questioning. As with all aspects of teacher talking time, it is not the quantity, but the quality and value of questions that are important. When thinking about their questioning technique, teachers might use the following as a checklist. 1. Decide on the purpose of questions. 2. Minimize the use of yes or no questions, except when checking meaning and understanding, or encourage weaker students. 3. Use open-ended, divergent questions to encourage opinions, elaboration, and discussion. 4. Ask questions about important rather than trivial content. Make sure that students clearly understand the questions. 5. Give enough time for students to answer. 6. Give appropriate responses to questions, particularly where correction is required, and in order to extend the dialogue. 7. Error correction. There aren't any effective method or technique for error correction. It seems quite clear that students in the classroom generally desire and expect errors to be corrected. However, please be polite. Please timely type it down to have effective learning. 2 common corrections are for your reference. Please refer to the 2 types of error corrections below. First, correct often and thoroughly. Teachers can correct the students' answers after they have finished their questions. After that, repeat the correct answer once again so that the students can clearly know how to correct and improve their language errors to make the right sentence afterwards. Second, selective correction. Teachers can focus on correcting the students' misspelling, grammatical mistakes, and putting emphasis on correcting their major mistakes. This often relates with teaching objective. 8. Give encouragement. In order to enhance students' intrinsic motivation, please give proper encouragement, not too little and not too much. Most students are basic and intermediate learners. Don't laugh at learners when they make mistakes. Try to be a facilitator and respect their current progress. The last part, conclusion. Before wrapping up the class, you need to do the recap. Please review and give comments. 1. Quickly review the important or corrected words from the lesson and have the students pronounce them again. 2. Based on the student's performance and give constructive feedback. Provide specific encouragement. Make suggestions for improvement in a positive tone.